welcome to Soul Symbols. My name is Shelley. I'm a writer, an astrologer, and a card reader, and I'd like to welcome you to my channel. Happy Tuesday! It is How to Tarot Tuesday, and what that is every week we discuss one of the 78 cards in tarot. The first half of the video we talk about the symbolisms in the card, and the second half of the video you, the viewer, get to choose from one of the 3 tarot decks. The 3 tarot decks are chosen by me based on the imagery that I think best represents the card that we're discussing. And then you get to choose which deck. And what we do is we go through and we see how that card is manifesting in your life currently. We do clarify using oracle cards. And if you ever want to skip the how-to part, please feel free to click on the timestamp for the deck selection, as well as the names and the authors of all the decks I use, are right here in the description box. So if you want to skip over the blabbing, please feel free and go straight to your reading. But I want to thank you so much for joining me. I'm hoping to post this video on time. I don't know if it will really be on time. I am taking a little bit of a hiatus this week, and today I got to, I did some work. I had to move some furniture, and I had to go through some personal effects for my father, and I just thought it was so apropos that we were talking about this card the same day. And so it really has been kind of a physical day for me. I did a lot of manual moving of things, but the other thing that I got to do is I also got to go through my father's music collection, which was a lot of records. And it was amazing how much it spoke to me. I just feel like music is speaking to me today because of all the memories and things like that. So also my back is bothering me a little bit, not in a bad way, but my shoulders, you know, how when you paint a room or you move furniture, the next day you feel like you've been hit by a bus. I'm already starting to feel a little achy, and it's not even, tomorrow I'm probably not going to be able to move very much. But it was a good day. It was a productive day, and I felt so connected to my family. If you don't know, if you follow my channel, my father has passed, and so what it was is it was a very eventful day for that. We were finally getting a chance to go through his belongings and get everything organized and stored. So, but it's funny. It's amazing. My dad, and similar to cups are emotions. My dad he had such a connection to music. He used to say that, just like I like to scrapbook, I like to journal, and, I like to tell a story with pictures and words. Ink on paper has always been really, really important to me. And I remember my dad was always so connected to music. And I'll tell you, vinyl records, the clarity of sound, I can see why they're making, it used to be that vinyl records were, too fragile to use. And just the quality of sound when you hear a needle hit the record, it's like, I remember my dad had a Bose surround sound system, and we listened to only records growing up. And he had such a good ear for music. And it's funny, I would tell him that, I went to concerts. I went before he passed, we went to a concert for one of his favorite bands. And it was such a bonding experience. We had such a good time, and it was a fantastic concert. It was a band that hadn't toured since the 70s. Yes, I'm dating myself here. But it's a band that hadn't toured since the 70s, and they finally did like kind of a reunion tour, and it was a very small venue, and it was just a fantastic time. And they did such a good job, and he loved that concert. He had such a good time, and I called it we called it a dad-daughter date night, and it was fantastic. And today I saw a lot of those records in his collection, and it just really connected to me. It sent me right back. And one thing my dad used to say is, just like you document memories with pictures and words, or even in social media, the way that you have a wall and you post things, that's your history, right? It's your story. Dad really believed that you spoke. He said that you tell a story. You remember moments in your life from the music that you hear in that time. And he would tell me, what songs were on the radio, on a transistor radio, when at certain pivotal moments in his life. And those were the records that I listened to today. And it was even funny. I feel like I'm speaking, I feel like the universe is kind of speaking in music today to me. But before I start filming, I always test my microphone, and it's almost like a band. You know how when you get on your microphone, you're like test one, 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2, and there's a great song. I think it's from the '90s. It's called, is it Rock Your Body? And I was like, mic check 1 2 1 2, mic check 1 2 1 2, and I don't know where that's coming from. So, all right, guys. So it's a little late at night. My body hurts. I've been listening to music all day long. I've been listening to LPs, listening to the vinyl. So I'm in a crazy mood. I just wanted to give that disclaimer. But if you ever want to skip past the blabbing, today we are talking about the Five of Cups. So the Five of Cups is a little bit more of a sadder card, but it's definitely one, I always say, there are no bad cards in tarot. And it's funny how we want to look at the Two of Cups. When you look at videos, it's like, okay, the heavy hitters that everyone wants to watch is the Ten of Cups, the Two of Cups, the lovers. But these smaller cards, the ones that are the heavy hitters like this, the less, a little bit more wistful cards are very important to know. So I'm a big advocate for, watching the Three of Swords, for watching the Five of Cups. And it's a powerful card. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. When you look at the Five of Cups, you see a person that looks like a man with his head hunched over, and he's wearing a black cloak. In the distance, you see a castle, and then you see like a river of water, and the water is moving, and that's important to notice. There's also a bridge. And what you see that he's on the other side of the bridge. It's like he left the castle, walked over the bridge to the other side. And what you see three cups at his feet turned over, and they all have different colors. It looks like red, orange, and green. And behind him there are two cups that are upright. And he's wearing a dark cloak as if in mourning. So when you see the Five of Cups, the first thing you think of is mourning. You think of something being, you see three cups spilled on the ground, right? And it's very desolate ground. It's not green. It's barren, looks like sand. And so what you think of is you think of suffering a loss. And you think of suffering an emotional loss. The other thing that you bear in mind is that, the numbers, 5, numerology, in numerology, 5 means change. And cups mean emotion. Excuse me, I got the hiccups a little bit. I ate dinner very quickly, sorry. And what you see is, the other thing is that you take into consideration the Three of Cups, which we had a tarot on, and the Two of Cups, which we had a tarot on, right? And then the Two of Cups, you talk about two people who are sharing the same love language, right? Two people connecting on an emotional level. And the Three of Cups, we just had a tarot on that 2 weeks ago, and feel free to check it out. Three of Cups is about a joyous kind of communion, right? The Three of Cups is about, man, woman, and child. It's about, body, soul, and spirit. It's about, procreation and lucky gambles and creation, right? It's about celebration. It's about joyous events. And when you see the Three Cups toppled over and you see this person's head hung over, the first thing that you think something did not go right, right? And in the background, the two cups, the two upstanding cups are behind him, and he's not noticing them. So the first thing that you think of kind of, you think of a loss in the sense that you're bemoaning something that happened, right? So the first thing that the Five of Cups means is, it means an unhappy change, right? It means something that failed. The other thing that we get is that, this person journeyed to wearing all black, journeyed to look at these cups that are fallen over. So a lot of times it can be a sense of like mourning, somebody feeling like something, like you gave up a win emotionally. The other thing is that it can be like experiencing a setback. A lot of times this can be, especially with the Three of Cups, because a Three of Cups is really like a kind of an emotional celebration. It could be a failure that you feel very emotionally. You know, if this isn't Swords where you're feeling it in your mind, or Pentacles where you're feeling it in your pocketbook. You're feeling this very emotionally. So a lot of times it is relationship based. A lot of times you know, when you look at the Five of Swords, you see kind of psychological or mental or verbal defeat. When you see the Five of Pentacles, you see the fiscal or financial, or, a loss of what you value. Here, it's really just kind of like feeling like you're saying goodbye to something that was an emotional defeat. The other thing that you get is a lot of times it can mean a lot of regret. With the Three of Cups, the other thing is with the Three of Cups, and especially with it being three different colors on the ground, you know, when we had a tarot, we talked about how the Three of Cups can really be kind of third party situations. It can be kind of, it can be those kind of situations where you're playing, right? You're playing the field, or you're being joyous. The other thing is that the Three of Cups, we talked about in the Three of Cups, the How to Tarot for the Three of Cups, we talked about how it's kind of like the muses. And the muses are about procreation, they're about celebration, they're about creativity. So a lot of times it can be kind of that unhappy ending, right? It can be a lost opportunity. A lot of times it's in a romantic sense. Um, it could also be that possibly it could be a lost opportunity, and when we get into the other two decks, we'll elaborate on that more. But a lot of times it can be because you were being either you or the other person, and usually this is the person who was doing the action, because someone was kind of messing around. Someone was being cavalier or casual. Um, and what happens is, you know, when you have two cups, you have two people being exclusive to each other. When you have three cups, you have, you know, a triangle, and if all three of those cups are fallen over, it can be a situation that, you know, went to crap, for lack of a better way. And especially when you see this person mourning over it, it's kind of just feeling like, feeling like your emotions are overturned, like everything, everything failed. One other thing that it can be is with cups being emotions, it can be kind of a creative endeavor. It's a really, really sharp kind of emotional letdown. So a lot of times that can be emotional disappointment. And the thing about disappointment is, it's funny when you're not the person experiencing it. Sometimes it can be very easy to say, "Oh, well, you're just disappointed. You'll get over it." But look at this guy. Does he look like he's getting over it? The other thing is that you also want to kind of ask yourself, okay, when have you, the one thing with this card is that, especially with three cups, it could be that maybe you were dating several people at once, and you were, again, not being committed, kind of playing the field, and you missed an opportunity. So the Five of Cups is definitely a missed opportunity card. You could have had the opportunity to get something that you really, really wanted, and then it passed you by because you either didn't take it seriously, or there was another third person in the mix, like someone snatched up your opportunity before you could, right? But all joking aside, it's not funny. Disappointment is very, very harsh, right? The other thing that you get is that sometimes this kind of disappointment, and especially when you see the Five of Cups, it's the less pleasant card. It's not as dreaded as Three of Swords, but or the Five of Swords for that matter. But a lot of times it can mean that maybe you saw your future with someone, right? The other thing is that it can be that type of emotional thing where, because with three cups, it can be a third party situation, especially when they're turned over like that. It can kind of mean a situation that really just broke the hearts of everyone involved, especially you. And that's why no one wants to see this card come up in a read, or you want to clarify it, just like, and again, there are no bad cards in tarot. But sometimes that can mean that maybe, it can either mean that maybe you didn't take the right action, at the right time, so you lost a love opportunity. The other thing is that maybe you saw someone as your future, you know, you really saw a future with someone and then they ran off with someone else. You know, it's that kind of disappointment where you really, it's a hard, it's the hard pill to swallow card, right? You know, like, God, you know, how can I bounce back from this, right? This is a card where you're not bouncing back quickly, right? This is a stinging disappointment. The other thing is that it can be betrayal in love. Again, with the 3 overturned cups, you know, it can be someone that, you know, you might have been broken up with because there was a third party involved. The other thing that we get with this card is we call it the woulda, coulda, shoulda card. And no joking aside, but the woulda, coulda, shoulda is sometimes this can be the person who, you know, was, again, you know, wanted to keep their options open, and then this is the card notoriously of the one that got away, right? But the one thing you do want to bear in mind is there's 2 upright cards, right? So this person is looking only at what's failed. They're not seeing what remains. So the other thing that's positive about this card, because it is half positive, is just that the other thing about it is sometimes it can be fresh heartbreak, you know, where you just feel like, okay, this disappointment just happened. Either that or this person isn't ready to turn around and see the other cup standing behind them, right? Sometimes it can be a lot of anxiety over separation. You know, maybe you just broke up with someone and all you can see is the bad in the situation. Like you're not seeing the good that awaits you. A lot of times it can be, you know, sometimes the other thing about this card is that there is something to be salvaged, right? And for the second deck, I went with the Spacious Tarot. And I love this card, and actually it's gone really good with the stone that I have paired with it. I have a green fluorite, and it's really vibing there. But what you see is you see this really kind of grayish green, and you see the same river. And what I want to just point out is that that river is flowing, right? It's not like, you know, and with water meaning emotions, that's movement, right? It's not blocked emotion. It means that you do have a future ahead of you, right? The other thing is that in this image you have a bridge, right? So you crossed a bridge to get to this morning, right? You made effort. But what you see is you can see kind of a gray green. And you know, it's funny when they talk about green, you know, green in a real bright sense can be growth, it can be prosperity, it can be the sign of spring and something new and abundant. It can be the sign of money. But when you see a more murky kind of green, a more gray green, sometimes that can be envy, sometimes that can be feeling less than, you know, it can be feeling jealous, it can be feeling jaded. You know, that's the other thing is, and jaded is when you feel like that, and that's the other thing with this card is feeling like someone else got your victory, right? Got your celebration. That celebration's being denied you, right? But it's not, because you have something that can be salvaged. And you see that a lot in this card because the colors of the greens, you see the same flowing river, except you see 2 cups in the distance, and then you see 3 broken cups here. And I think that's so beautiful. In this deck in particular, I kind of read this more of you being, because the vantage point, the perspective that you see is that you're on the shore with the broken cups, and you have to cross a river to get over to the 2 cups that remain, which is the 2 of cups. So again, we talk more about that, you know, it's sometimes it can be, in that sense, it can be a little bit of an exaggerated pessimism. Maybe you do not, you're feeling like kind of in an emotional funk, you know. A lot of times it can be where you feel deprived of love. Again, you feel like you're on the shore that has the broken glass. It's a lot of times it is grieving in the sense that you're just longing to be reunited, right? And especially with this card, you're looking across the river, right? You're looking across the emotions to the 2 cups, right? And you just want to be reunited. You want your happiness again. You want that happiness that you feel like passed you by. Again, this speaks of missed opportunity. And again, sometimes if you're on the shore with the broken cups, or if you're asking about someone, this can be someone that did you kind of dirty, right? You know, someone who purposely put you in a third party situation, and then they're bemoaning the fact that it didn't work out. So that's where it gets in the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, right? Because I should have done this, I would have done that. Sometimes it can be a little bit, the tarot readers do describe this as the crying over spilled milk card. And we don't mean it in a cruel way, because in a minute we're going to talk about the real empathetic way that this is read. But sometimes if you're asking about someone who broke your heart, who put you in a third party, who didn't treat you right, a lot of times this can be a sign that someone's trying to come back and being like, I know I didn't treat you right, I know I put you in a third party situation, I would have done this, I would have done that, because they're on the shore with the broken glass, right? But you know, it's one of those things, you know, they're feeling like, you know, at a loss. But it's a little bit, you know, sometimes that can be a waning of love. Because again, the Three of Cups is that real party card. You know, let me go, you know, the other thing I get with this, especially with all this green, is that I get a lot of the grass wasn't greener. You know, you're standing on the side that has the broken glass, right? The other thing is, if you've ever heard that Annie Lennox song, "Broken," "Walking on Broken Glass," you know, well, I don't care for sugar honey, you know, if I don't got you. So that really transitions. You know, a lot of times it does talk about a time of crisis in a relationship. You know, it's being disappointed. It's wanting to turn back the clock. You know, wishing for what might have been. Again, woulda, coulda, shoulda. You know, the other thing is that believing that you made the wrong choice. And this could be you asking about a person that made the wrong choice, or you being the person who made the wrong choice. But a lot of times it is acknowledging mistakes. The other thing is that when you're in the thralls of the Three of Cups, it's a party, right? You know, actually, I'll go ahead and pull out the card. You know, it's, you know, it's all fun and games. And sometimes it can be, you know, sometimes it can be like your sense of ego kind of running away with you, right? You know, you're at the party, you're talking to all the pretty girls, you're talking to all the pretty guys, you feel like you're hot stuff, and before you know it, you know, you might have passed on something that was really the right opportunity for you. But you know, again, with the flashing lights and the, you know, everything else, it, you know, you didn't think what, you know, you didn't think. You know, the other thing is that, again, you know, you could be asking about someone who did this to you. um, but a lot of times it is just kind of acknowledging mistakes, or just feeling like things did not go right. The other thing is that it is feeling abandoned. You feel like somebody turned their back on you. You notice there's one person in this picture. Um, or it can also be that it can also be a sign of a little bit of self-pity, in the sense that you feel like you're being reprimanded. You feel like you're being scolded or punished. You know, oh, okay, here I am on this river. The other thing is that this vantage point is maybe you're watching someone else go on to a happier future, and you're stuck there with your broken situation, right? Or the person who did you dirty, is stuck in that situation, right? So that is kind of the crying over spilled milk. Well, I would have done this different. Sometimes this can be unused talents, or it can be creative failures, again, with it being emotional. And the Three of Cups does talk about, you know, celebrations or dancing or entertainment, right? So sometimes this card can come up of, maybe, you know, maybe you wanted to have a theater career, maybe you wanted to have a singing career, and you just feel like, you know, you feel like maybe you got the rejection letter, maybe you got turned down for a role. And but again, you know, you have two more cups. Maybe it is kind of encouraging you to keep going, because this is a little bit of a stagnant energy. You know, something is lost, but something remains, right? There's, you know, the other thing is that it's kind of what's done is done. You know, the three broken cups, the three turned over cups, there's not a great likelihood that they're going to be fixed again. You know, you can glue it back together, but it's not going to be the same thing. You're probably going to have some leaks in there. So, a lot of times it just kind of means that, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. But a lot of times it is just having those gray colored glasses where you feel just like everything is gray. Now, the last deck I went with is the Linestrider Tarot by Siolo Thompson, and this is actually the more empathetic card. And I do, this card, typically, in most decks, you just see a variation of the Rider-Waite with the person, mourning. But I like the depiction of this because it has an owl who's very wise, right? And here the owl is looking down at broken, the broken eggs. But they have two eggs behind them, right? So that the last definition is it can really be extended mourning, right? It can be holding on to mourning longer than anticipated. One thing that I think of, especially with the first and the third decks, is that if you've ever followed British history, Queen Victoria was married to Prince Albert, and Prince Albert died kind of young. He was fairly young. I think he was in his 40s. At the time, it was probably not the young, unusual. But what she did is she decided she wanted to show she loved her husband so much that she wore black for 4 decades. Ever since his passing, she wore black dresses. She would not, every day she wore the clothes of someone in mourning. So a lot of times that's kind of like just holding on to grief, right? And it's not, it's not the tarot, and that's the other reason that this is kind of it's not a card that many people want to see, because it feels, again, you feel a little reprimanded. You feel a little bit like the universe is like, will you snap out of it? Will you cheer up? But it's not easy to cheer up, right? Yes, you have two eggs that remain, but you're mourning something that was lost. It looks like someone raided this poor owl's nest, and she only has two eggs left. So a lot of times it can be loss in that sense. Maybe you are mourning someone. It's interesting. I was watching the movie Ford versus Ferrari, and I won't spoil the ending if you haven't seen it. But at the end, there's a loss in that movie, and they're walking up to Shelby, and they're like, "It's been 6 months. Why don't you get over it? He's gone." And it's just kind of like, it is a little bit like that. It's this can definitely this card can show up in a feelings read as being like, I don't want to let go yet. I don't want to let go. I want to, it's up to me if I want to wear black for 4 decades. This person mattered to me. And if you watch the intro of this video, it's like, it's been several years, and I still feel like there's stages of mourning. It's never completely let go. So a lot of times, when this comes up in a reading, and definitely look at surrounding cards, look at surrounding cards. Sometimes if you see the Five of Cups next to the Six of Swords, it can be that really quiet time where you're slowly moving forward. It's just very gradual. It's not happening quickly, but you are healing. The other thing is that, a lot of times it can be it can be a loss, kind of great or small. It could be, tangible, like a relationship. A lot of times it is emotionally related. It's something that was important to you. Sometimes this can show up in a pentacle, next to pentacles, as being like a job that you really, really loved. And, sometimes you see this when someone's retiring or someone's walking away. If you see this next to the Eight of Cups, it can be that, it's hard for you to let go, right? You're ruminating. You're not, also, if you see it next to the Four of Pentacles, sometimes it can be that really tenacious holding on to either memories but the one thing that this card wants to stress is you're holding on to pain. And that's where it gets detrimental, is that, no matter how much we accept intellectually that we must go with the flow, the flow separates us, and that's the river, right? The river is going with the flow. A few weeks ago, I did a weekly energy card reading where I channeled the song One Last Cry by McKnight, and that was like a 90s crooner, and it's such a beautiful song. It has a gorgeous melody. That's someone I would love to see in concert. He came to town, but it was like Pandemicville, and I didn't get a chance to see him. I hope he comes around again. I will definitely catch that show once things return to normal. But the lyrics of that song, One Last Cry, is like, you know, you were there, I was here. I guess we never could agree. I need some, while the sun shines on you, I need some love to rain on me. But one lyric in that where he really croons as he goes, around me, good life goes on and on and on. And it's like that is the essence of this card. Life goes on. You've heard that show, that song, la da da da, life goes on. But that's the other thing with the gray colored glasses. It's almost like you're looking around at people and going, it's like you're suspended in time, and it's like you want to move on, but I always see this card as being like, how is everyone else doing that? How is everyone able to just move on to the next guy, the next girl? It I think the other thing is with it being cups is that, and I wholeheartedly agree with you, and again, this is the more emotive sense of the Five of Cups, is that how can life go on for you when what you had and what you lost was so special? But the thing is that there's a natural course of mourning, and that's very difficult to do. And sometimes, so in a situational sense, sometimes that can be a sign that maybe you're not letting go, right? You're not letting go, and that's okay. It's letting you know, okay, maybe there's more things you have to work out. The other thing is that with that flow of water, sometimes there might be more underneath the surface that you need to kind of get to the root of. So when it comes to situation and advice, it usually means that you have suffered a loss or disappointment, and don't take that lightly. Disappointments do more than sting. They can maim sometimes. So mourning it is completely okay. Sometimes looking up that the 5 stages of loss, of anguish, you get angry, then you start bartering, then you start, and the final stage is acceptance, right? But it takes you a few stages to get there. The other thing is that you might feel abandoned or betrayed by someone. Um, the other thing is that it can be a little bit of saying, okay, are you going to look at this as half full or half empty, right? Because there's an opportunity there. The other thing is that maybe you're mourning a lot and there is something there in your sphere, but you just haven't turned around to see it, right? There might be something on the periphery. Because the other thing is that sometimes immediately after loss, it propels you into the thing that was meant for you. So that's one thing to consider. There are 2 upright cups behind you. There might be something behind you that you're not seeing because you're so, preoccupied with either the sudden pain or the lingering pain of something in the past. And the other thing is when you look at tarot, anything on the left is the past and anything on the right is the future. Now, and you can take that into consideration with the artwork, because in the Rider-Waite-Smith, the overturned cups are in the past and the 2 is in the future, but it's reversed for Spacious and reversed for the Linestrider. But a lot of times in that, that whatever relationship you had might not have been ideal. It might have caused you pain that was unfair. Again, look at surrounding cards. But it is a loss, so it's allowing, it's a call to try to allow the grief to subside, and it's also a call to revise your emotional priorities, right? Because if you watch the 2 cups is about only dealing with people, only dealing with situations that nourish you, right? That speak your love language, that communicate on a level that is cooperative and beneficial to you, right? And if somebody is not treating you right, or if you experience that, then sometimes it is okay to let that go, but it's just gonna, in your own time and in your own way, and however whatever steps you need to follow to do that, and however much time it takes. There's no time frame. There's no egg timer on this, right? Also, when it comes to relationships, psychologically, they even say it's usually half the time of the length of the relationship. So if it was a 10-year marriage, you might have 5 years looking forward, but you can rejoice in the little milestones in that 5 years, right? You don't have to look at it like it's the dirge. When it comes to people, it's usually someone who feels a little bit bitter, someone who feels betrayed or resentful. Sometimes it can be someone who's burned out. It can be a little bit of a pessimistic person. And especially with the third deck, it can be a woman who has a miscarriage, or it could also be this, and I do see it in this realm, is that sometimes it can be separation through other things like divorce, or maybe if you see this around the court, like justice, it could be that certain visitation rights may have been taken from you, or something has occurred. Now, sometimes this can be, it does speak of like a mistreated child, because again, with the polarity, it's like more attention is being, someone's paying more attention to the negative than they are the positive. So, whether this is a child or an adult, this can be, if this comes up, if you're asking about someone, it could be someone who had emotional abuse in their past, and it makes them hard to trust, right? It does. It gives them, and again, it can be bruising that they've had in the past. Now, when you look at the Five of Cups in reverse, the first thing we think is, okay, this energy, it can either be the energy dissipating, like going away, or the energy getting worse in kind of a negative sense. So, first off, most readers, when we see it in the reverse, it's a good thing. It means the pain is ending. Maybe you've gotten, maybe enough time has passed, and they talk about, time being a healer. I get frustrated with that saying because no one wants to have to wait to feel better. But it is true. Time is definitely a good healer. And once you have some, a little bit of time has passed, especially at least 30 days, if it's a breakup, 30 to 60 days. They do say that a good year, a solid 365 days away from someone is enough time and space to really, really kind of get back on your feet. The other thing that I see is when I see the Five of Cups in reverse, I usually think that you start to see those little moments when you start feeling better. There's a great Taylor Swift song that talks about that too, where she says, I get up in the morning and instead of missing a text from you, her ex-boyfriend, she starts enjoying the text of her friends. So a lot of times it can be, again, with that, the two cups is what's showing, right? So the two cups is what you're experiencing. It's just that healing. You're every day you're feeling better and better, and you're on the path to being better. So a lot of times it can be hope. Sometimes if you see this, and especially if you see this next to like the Six of Cups or the Lovers, it could be that someone has admitted their mistakes and is trying to make amends. So, sometimes it can be a rekindling of an old love. Maybe someone realizes that they really screwed up. A lot of times you see the Five of Cups in reversal when you see it next to someone who just acted immature. Maybe it was, your first, a high school sweetheart that, needed to go out in the world, get their butt kicked a little bit emotionally, and then came back and said, I'm sorry I treated you that way. A lot of times it's good news. Acceptance or new relationships. Maybe you are finally seeing the two cups that remain. A lot of times it can be maybe a situation that came about because of your pain. It's the experience sprungboard you into something better. Sometimes it can be a sign of recovery from past hurts. So sometimes it can be therapy that you're going through. And now it can also be that you're starting to take off the morning clothes, right? You know, you're not wearing the black of mourning anymore. You're taking that off, and you're starting to. It could quite honestly be you wearing brighter colors, or I also see this as you feeling like more like yourself, right? Like you're wearing clothes that are bright. You're getting up in the morning. You're feeling, you know, you're feeling happier. Now, you know, in the positive aspects, it can usually be that, you know, again, that whatever has happened to you is finally the you know, the water, you know, life is going on and it feels good. A lot of times that it can be rapid change too. Again, it can be almost like you bounce back pretty quickly. The other thing is that sometimes if you see this next to communication cards, maybe you and the person that you had the falling out had a good heart to heart talk and you cleared the air. Um, and then, you know, and a lot of times it's, you know, but again, it's maybe you are going through the emotional steps of accepting what happened, and especially if it's a loss or something that you know has really kind of been bogging you down emotionally. Now, in a negative sense, unfortunately, the cups, you know, in reverse can be the extreme. And the first thing that we see is that someone who's really not letting go, right? Someone who, if you see this next to like the Queen of Swords or something like that, it's usually someone who can hold on to a hurt for a really, really long time. One fictional character I always think of is Miss Havisham from Great Expectations. She was a jilted bride. You know, she was left at the altar, and she just became completely, you know, obsessed, right? So sometimes the Five of Cups, and again, look at surrounding cards. If you see the Devil card come up next to that, that's really not a good sign. It means that you are just holding on, right? Like to a detrimental extent where it's harming you, right? It's harming you. A lot of times if you see this, you know, Five of Cups in reverse next to the Devil, next to the Page of Swords, it could mean that you're stalking your ex partner and watching them in a new relationship, and you're just inflicting more hurt on yourself. The other thing is that it can be not letting go of someone who has passed, um, not being able to work through the emotions of it. And believe me, I know it's hard. I know it's hard. Again, just like that movie Ford versus Faris, like it's been 6 months. So freaking what? You know, 6 months for one person might not be enough time. You know, 6 months for another person, you know, 3 weeks might be enough for someone to get over it. But again, you know, that river, like life goes on. You know, a lot of times, sometimes somebody can kind of roll their eyes and be like, well, life goes on for you. Life doesn't go on for me, right? And it can be someone who's in that attitude. So a lot of times it can be, you know, it can be a lover from the past. Sometimes when you see it in reverse, it can be that lover from the past that you cannot forgive. You know, so definitely if you see the Five of Cups in reverse next to like the Ten of Swords, usually that would be the unforgivable act where this person did something really, really horrible, and you just can't. You know, the other thing is that possibly, you know, again, looking at surrounding cards, it might be someone that you have to deal with that re-inflicts pain on you. I really always say that you know, I'm not trying to be, you know, dark when I say this, but a lot of times when you're dealing with someone, you know, when you go through a breakup, it is like the person passed away, but it's like they're still alive and out in the world, and they don't care to be without you. And that hurts, right? That's disappointing. Maybe you saw a future with this person, you saw everything in this person's eyes, and it's like, but it's almost like haunting, because unlike a in that way relationships can hurt worse than losing someone. And I do believe that, because that person's out in the world. It's not like they're really dead. They can show up and hurt you. So sometimes when you see this, and usually more in the upright than the reverse, but usually it can be like, okay, you know, that person that you just never really got over, you see him at, you know, you see him at the grocery store, you know, and you're just like, oh God, you know, and just it disappoints you again. But again, you know, look at surrounding cards. You know, sometimes the Five of Cups can be real mild, right? It can just, sometimes it can be a reprise. It can just be a little bit of a, you know, a repeat of what happened. But then that energy can, you know, roll down the river and roll away and move on to bigger and better things. So, all right, guys, so that concludes the how-to part. I'm going to go ahead and let you choose your deck. We have 3 decks here. We have the Rider-Waite-Smith by A.G. Mueller, which is a really beautiful deck. It's so clear. The images are so sharp. And the stone with it we have is a beautiful sunstone. Second deck, we have the Spacious Tarot, and with it we have a green fluorite. The last deck we have is the Linestrider Tarot by Siolo Thompson with a beautiful blue fluorite. We have some fluorite representing today. And to clarify, I am going to be doing a deck review. I know I've been promising and promising. I promise this week I will be doing it. But here we have the Mystical Kipper deck. And just to let you know, this deck is also published by the same publisher. It's AGM. It's a really great publishing company. I think they're international, but they do such quality cards. And I will be, when I talk this week, I'm going to do a deck review on all of my Lenormand, Gypsy, and Kipper decks. So it's about 5 decks, and I promise I'll get that out this week. And on top of it is a beautiful Orgonite, Pocket Orgonite by Wing and Bell. And all the descriptions is in the description box. If you need more time, please pause the video, and I'll see you in a minute. All right, we're back. Let me go ahead and move up the other decks, and we will get this party started. Mic check 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Rock your body. All right. If you missed the intro, I'm in a real musical mood today, and there's a reason for it. It's a little bit of a 5 of Cups reason, but feels good. Feels good. All right, so deck number 1, the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith. How does the 5 of Cups manifest in your life? Let's find out. Past energy, you see your card. Present energy. Ooh, all right. Wow. Future energy. Okay, got some stick. I'm seeing the Wheel of Fortune. Let's see. If it's meant to come out, it will. Oh, my goodness. Oh my goodness. And we've got 6 of Wands and the Magician trying to pop out. That's some great... You're handling this like a pro. Can I just tell you? You got... Wow. You are strong. His thoughts. Okay. Okay. I'm just going to get a few clarifiers here just because I think... Okay, didn't mean to pull so many, but this is a really beautiful deck. It's like Gypsy cards, but it describes a lot. Wow, guys, this is really quite clear, and you have a major arcana in the current energy. In the past, you were a real independent person. You were a real independent person. Like you knew what you wanted in life. The other thing is I'm getting a real affluent kind of feeling. Like, I always see, when I see the 9 of Pentacles, I always think of that song, the Destiny Child song, Independent Woman. You know, the rings on my hands, I bought them. You know, the car in my driveway, I've got it. You know, the other thing is that in this picture, you see her hold a hawk, right? It means real controlled emotions. Like, I don't feel like you get out of control. You know, it's not like, you know, when you fall in love, it definitely, you know, it turns your head, but it's not like you get out of control with it. And what I'm seeing here is that I do see that you had some kind of disappointment, and with the cups spilling kind of towards the past, it's quite possible. I am getting a strong sense that maybe you did run into some kind of emotional, you ran into some kind of emotional disappointment. I am getting a strong sense that this is, just because from your Kipper cards, I'm getting a strong sense that this is romantic. This can be a creative endeavor, but or a work endeavor, but I'm not quite getting that with the number of cups here. I'm getting the sense that, and let me just see your numbers here. You got 16, that boils down to a 7, and then you got 6, and you got 3. Excuse me, and the 3 cups are the, you know, and 5 is change. right? The other thing is you got 2 8s here. Strength is 8 and the 8 of Cups. So what I'm really getting here, guys, is that your current energy, you've got a major arcana here. So this is a bigger, this is, I'm getting a strong sense that maybe you did fall for someone who was not being serious with you. And the other thing is, if you're a woman watching this, you're a real classy broad. Can I just tell you that? Like you got your stuff together. You got your finances together. You don't need somebody in your life. You choose. The 9 of Cups. I almost feel like she's an echo of the Queen of Pentacles, but I almost feel like she's an echo of the Queen of Wands too, and the fact that you choose to have someone in your life. You don't need anybody. You're fine on your own. But the other thing that I kind of get is that I do think that someone kind of threw you for an emotional loop. I don't think that your emotions, I think you keep yourself on a very, a good level. Not, socioeconomically. I mean, I think you're kind to people. Again, you handle your business. You're a lady. The other thing can I get is just look at this. Your Kipper card, you got good lady. You do well in your life. You do well in your life. You pay your bills. You know what you like. You've earned the finer things in life. The other thing is that I don't feel like you overreact. It's not like you're not drama. And what I'm kind of seeing here is that I do think that maybe you did kind of feel some excitement with someone and you really felt like a connection, but that person wasn't being serious with you. Either that or maybe that someone kind of played games. The other thing about this is that, these 2 cards, this person is way too ladylike for you to mess with, right? You are not someone to mess with. You're too good for that. Not in a weird way, but you know, you're not higher above than someone, but you're a good person. The other thing is that I think that you really, again, I'm getting a strong sense in, you have that kind of integrity that all of us look up to. I feel like people look up to you. And, but what I get is I do get kind of an emotional thing here where maybe you did kind of get into a dalliance, like, someone really got you kind of, got your hopes up and then they spilled your cups. And what you've got here is that I think that you learned a lesson from it, but what you get is you see how with the Strength card you've got a Virgin, and the Lion, right? And the Lion is being tamed. I think what you've done is that you had some kind of emotional relationship really touch your heart, and then it disappointed you really kind of cruelly, and you've got more opportunities because hello, you've got 2 cups there. You can just go. If you, I'm getting a strong sense that once you turn around and see those 2 cups, again, la da da da, life goes on. That river's flowing down its merry way. But I almost feel like you're almost kind of. I think this kind of taught you a little bit about, it taught you about your base desires, because that's the thing with Strength. The other thing is that I think it is teaching you how to be compassionate with yourself, how to be compassionate to what your base needs are. So I honestly, guys, I think that you just had a really bad disappointment. I think maybe you saw a future with someone and then they turned around like they were just messing around. And the other thing I kind of get is that you're just not having it, right? You're too good for that. And I don't mean that in the condescending way, but you really are. But I do think that you had to be kind with yourself. It's almost like, it's okay, Lion. Your Lion wanted love. They wanted, they wanted that future. They wanted the 3 of Cups celebration that got all dashed on the floor, on the ground. But it's almost like you're holding it together. The other thing is that you see that infinity, which is another 8. That infinity and the magician tried to show up on the bottom of the deck, I think. Oh my gosh. Oh, and goodness. Can we take a look? Let's look. You see that same infinity symbol? That's another 8. It means that you can manifest whatever you like and rock on with your bad self, because you can turn away from this, throw that cloak off and be like, okay. And guess what, guys? That's exactly what you're doing. You're taking that cloak off and you're wearing your red cloak, which is passion, which is action. And the future is you're walking away from something that you invested in. I do kind of get a sense that someone is presently disappointing you, but it's almost like you're trying to assage you're using your strength to kind of cope with the situation. One other thing that I kind of get is that, oh gosh, guys, okay, it's kind of coming clear to me now. There might be someone that's trying to offer you something, but unfortunately they keep spilling your cups. Like someone might be dragging you into their drama, and you're a no drama llama, honey. You're no drama llama. You know, someone bringing you into, if someone's not quite ready, and you, it's again, it's almost like you're comforting your inner desires. Like, okay, all I want is to be with you. All I want is the house. All I want, you know, I'm fine on my own, but I want these things. And someone's just repeatedly not giving you what you want. And you're kind of staying in that energy because someone's holding you back. The other thing is, I do kind of get that you got a choice here. And the interesting thing is, in the future, you're gonna walk away from what's you invested all of this energy, and it's just sitting there. The other thing is, you see that same river, right? You see that same river. The other thing that I kind of get is that you know that there's more for you out there. And I do get the thing, I get the sense like you were trying to give someone a chance. You were trying to give someone a chance, but they kept disappointing you. The other thing is that with your Kipper cards, you got, the reason I clarified so much is because the first card was his thoughts. And you see the penguin. And then you got good lady. And then you got the marriage card. So, you know what I'm kind of getting with this is that, again, I think this is you. This is so you. The other thing is that I think that you're mature. I think there might be a little bit of an age difference here. And this person keeps getting ready for you, but they're never ready for you. Like this person, the good lady's out walking in her garden. That's the other thing, is that there's gardens here. You have abundance, honey. You know? You've got abundance. And look at this dog. This dog is loyalty, right? I feel like people are loyal to you because you're a good person. The other thing is that this good lady has a lot of wisdom. But I feel like the other thing is that I feel like this person's kept you waiting because you're out in the garden. It's like you're waiting for them. And this person's still getting ready. I think this person's never, they keep saying, oh yes, I'm coming. And they're just leaving you waiting. The other thing is that you see all those cups? You stacked up all those cups, and you had to walk away from it. I think what's happening is you really wanted a future. You felt a connection with someone, but they keep disappointing you because they keep you waiting. But in this person's defense, I think that they're trying to be ready for you, but they just might not. It might not be something that they're able to give you. But the thing that I'm seeing here. And the other thing that I see is that with the marriage card, you do see the two people finally together. You know what I'm kind of getting, guys, is I think the universe is kind of telling you, go do your own thing right now. You know, those cups, again, the Eight of Cups, we haven't had a tarot on it yet, but we're going to. The Eight of Cups doesn't mean that you're leaving forever. It just means that right now, you're the only one standing there, right? And the other thing is that this is nighttime. You see the same mountains? You've been standing there all freaking day long. You've been waiting all day long, and you looked pretty. You were waiting. And I'm sorry, but who keeps this lady waiting? Nobody. Nobody keeps this lady waiting. Not. And this isn't to be snooty. This is just saying. And remember, we said this card means it is what it is. And it is what it is that it's quite possible that maybe, the other thing is that this person's wearing a black coat. Maybe this person finally came, they were waiting, this could be your person, where they finally came out to the garden and you weren't there. But the one thing that they got to get straight is that, you know, you got to step up. You got to step up. It doesn't mean go and rush into something unprepared, but don't leave you waiting till the nighttime to say something. The other thing that I get is that you've been real strong. You've been real strong. The other thing is I get a strong sense that you learned something. Like this I think this person taught you something about your heart. And I think it's been a while since you've had your heart touched. You know how it is when you've gone a long time and you're just happy in life doing your own thing, and then someone comes along and really touches your heart. But they do. Again, some relationships really come along that way. The other thing that I kind of get is, especially with the Two of Cups being behind, maybe you do have to walk away. Maybe something is holding you back. Maybe you've spent too much time waiting for someone who's just not ready. And you might have marriage or something better, you know, because again, this looks like the same lady. Looks like the same man too. But the only other thing I can kind of think of is that maybe, you know, this person has been keeping you waiting. And if you walk away for a little while, if you say, look, when you know, the other thing I kind of get from this is, okay, you know, you can reach out to me when you finally get ready to do what you need to do, you know, when you're finally ready to. The other thing I get is when you're finally ready to stop partying and kind of ready to settle down. Yeah, you can call me, but I may not be available. I'm the Nine of Cups, or Nine of Pentacles. You know, I'm the good lady in my garden. You know, if I'm not available because you kept me waiting, that, you know, this could be your person. This, because it does say the first card out was his thoughts. You know, maybe someone is woulda, coulda, shoulda, you know, woulda, coulda, shoulda, you. If that makes sense. Sorry, that made no sense. But again, you know, don't take this as sadness. I just think that if you need to go do your own thing, do your own thing. You are good at doing your own thing. And the other thing is that you are abundant, right? You're abundant. And there's a saying in spirituality that just says, you know, you can never miss what's right for you. What's right for you will always find you, right? And again, if it's a missed opportunity, if it's meant to be, it'll come back around. But I do believe in, like, kind of like the river that you see here. There's rivers. There's a flow to life and energy, you know. And you might have more than one soulmate out there, and that's okay. That's completely okay. There might be someone who's more ready for you right now. But if this other person that you've been waiting for that really touched your heart, when they become ready, maybe this is just a matter of you kind of, again, doing your own thing for a little while longer and just not waiting on them. You know, don't mourn over what's lost. Mourn over what, you know, go get that energy that does make you feel good. You know, and if this is meant to be, it will be. It will be. And honestly, that looks really good, guys, because it really does look like the two of you together in marriage. So, you know, I'm not trying to give anybody false hope, but that looks really good. It just means, you know, don't stay in mourning energy unnecessarily. You know, go do your thing. Go do your thing. All right, so deck number 2, the Spacious Tarot. Let's go ahead and see, how does the Five of Cups manifest in your life? So what's the past? Past. Oh my gosh, the Eight of Cups. Oh my goodness, that is the common denominator, present energy. And the future energy, please. We got 2 5s here. There's a lot of current change. Oh my gosh, guys. This came out in the weekly energy card reading just this last week. 7 of Wands. And the Emperor. I definitely, wow, I'm getting a clear story here. All right. Bereavement. It's lost. Oh my goodness. All right. In the past, the root of the energy was the Eight of Cups, and the bloom of the energy was the Child of Cups. So there's a lot of emotion here. There's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of money. Wow, guys, these are all Pentacles and Cups. I'm kind of reading this more than one way. Oh my gosh, guys. Um, First way, and I'm getting this really strongly. First off, I think you might be masculine, either that, or if you're feminine, that's fine. Um, if you're feminine watching this, I really kind of sense. I always say this, and I say this of myself all the time. I always talk about being my own man. Kind of like, you can a man can manifest in a queen's energy when he's being more emotive, like when he's more. It's like how this man feels, or what he's looking for in a woman. And assign the genders as they resonate. You do not, it can be same sex, however it resonates. Assign the genders as they apply. But and a woman can be in a real masculine energy when she's a go-getter, right? I know a lot of people, and I have folks who have commented right here on the channel. I'm so grateful for the comments. Please let me know what you think and at how you feel about what we're saying. I've had several commenters talk about how the emperor is their significator, right? Because you can definitely be a woman who's in control, who's the CEO of her own life. She's very organized. She's, you can be the king, the emperor of kings. But in the past, what I kind of get is that I get a sense that it's possible that the first way that I kind of read this is that maybe you were real young, you were still real innocent when in the past, when you walked away from either your family or sometimes just some kind of relationship that really, that was stagnant, right? Like you wanted to grow. The other thing I kind of get with the Child of Cups is that maybe you went forth into the world in a real innocent way. When I see the cherry blossoms, I think of spring, and I think of Aries energy. And the Aries energy is I am, right? They are the child of the zodiac, and not in a bad way. They're the trailblazers, right? They try new things. And what I'm getting that kind of energy, and I'm getting that energy in a real emotive sense. I get the sense that you were tired of how things were. Maybe you grew up in a family environment that was really, you know really stagnant. It was not giving you what you needed to grow emotionally. So you decided to venture out. You see, the other thing you see is you see a big fish in a little pond, in a little bowl, right? But then you see a big pond beyond it. I'll jump into that water. So I get the sense that in the past that maybe you really ventured out, and this is the first way I'm reading this is a mother and child relationship. And I get the sense that if you're the child, I get the sense that this read for you is that you left home kind of early. Either that, or you really ventured out. You had to venture out into the world kind of young in life, and you had to face challenges, but you did it in a real emotionally innocent kind of way. And what it's doing currently is, and again, we have a sandwich of fives here, and we've got the Guardian of Cups, which is the Queen of Cups, and you see it's like a mama fish and a baby fish. And what I'm kind of seeing here is that currently, I think one way that I read this is that in the past, you might have been a child who had to leave home really early. I get the sense that you might have been a little stunted, like you didn't get a full upbringing before you had to leave home. And you chose to leave home because things were not changing, right? It was just it was not the environment that you wanted to stay in, so you left. And you were very innocent. You were very innocent. The other thing is I get a sense you were really young. And what I'm seeing now is that, like, the present energy is either that, or if you're a woman watching this, you learned a lot. Like, I still get the leaving home kind of energy. You really set off on your own. And so one way that I read this is that you could have left home kind of early, because again, these are all cups, and you really, I think you have matured. The Queen of Cups is a mature energy. She knows her own emotions, and she's also very giving. But the current energy, the Five of Cups, is that the Five of Pentacles is blocking the Queen of Cups. So I think that what's happening is maybe the first way I read this is if you're a child that left home kind of early, your mother might have had some kind of current heartbreak. This could be a relationship that did not work out, and it's causing her a lot of financial hardship. If this is you, you left a situation almost in a little bit of a naive way, not in a bad way, but very innocently. And you did develop, you're a very giving person. But what's happening is you venturing out in the world, again, life goes on. You might have had a few experiences where I'm really seeing the little fish being with the Three of Cups. It's quite possible that you might have ventured out into the world and you matured a lot, like you became emotionally mature, but with it came a few broken relationships, and you're learning. The other thing I get is that, those two cups standing, you're ready to move forward, but the current situation, because this is 5 and 5, the current situation that you're in did not end well, and it's leaving you in financial straits. One other way I can kind of read it is that if you are an independent child, it's possible that a parent, possibly your mother, is encountering that, like you have kind of a broken relationship with this person, but they're in financial need, and it is still your mother, right? The other thing I kind of get from this is that you have an opportunity to mend things. Again, the two cups. It's possible that in your maturity, you going through the school of life, or this person, being without you, they're starting to realize that they broke glass with you, right? They did not treat you the way that they were supposed to, and now they're coming back. But the thing is, they're coming back in a little bit of an impoverished state. I feel like I feel like somebody's kind of down and out right now. And I get the sense with these both being 5s, this might be kind of a little more sudden change. This can be a mother who just went through a divorce or experienced some kind of loss that affected them financially and emotionally. And I think that even though you've kind of walked away from this person, you're trying to help them. The other thing that I kind of get is that this could quite potentially, this could be a child, this could be a parenting situation. But either way, if you're the mama fish, or if you're dealing with a mother, they're going through there's a lot of pain right now, and I get a sense that they're mourning. The other thing I think is that they do kind of want to connect with you, because the other thing is you see someone coming up to the bowl, right? Coming up to the bowl, trying to cross the river to get to the two cups. But I do get this strong sense that if this is a mom, because there's so much financial here, because we have two pages, we have two children here. But again, I feel like you've matured really. The other thing that I kind of get is that if you do have a child that you had to raise, you might have had to walk away from the co-parent. This could be a single mom situation. But what I get is that you're a very nurturing person. Like, you love your child, you really do. It's just there's, kind of, 3 cups is mother, father, and child. And what I've got is I've got mother and child. There's no father here. So this could be a single mom situation. And what it is that you just want to support your child, right? You might have had to walk away from something that was real broken. But the side effect is that it's leaving you a little bit on the streets when it comes to money. But what this is also saying is that there's 2 cups ahead, right? There might be a potential for either a new love, or just something that can come out of this situation that's good, other than your baby, because babies are always good. But in the future, we've got the Explorer, we got the Knight of Pentacles, we've got the Child of Pentacles, we've got the Hanged Man, and we've got the Seven of Wands. So it's quite possible if this is a parental situation, you might be dealing with someone who's a little bit young. either that, or if this is your energy, you are going forth. You're going forth to earn the money that you need. And I also get the sense, I get the feeling like this is the same child. It's almost like you're bringing money back. You know, again, you're doing it to take care of your child. The other thing that I kind of get is that with the Seven of Wands, the Seven of Wands is really like taking on an arduous task. Like you're fighting for this. The other thing that I get is that you kind of see this in a whole new light. So the two ways that I kind of read this, and taking into consideration your cards here, you might have gone back to the father of your child. And the other thing that I get is that if the father, if you were separated, you know, like if you had a kid and both parents were not together, one person might have realized, again, you know, the hanged one is the hanged man. It's like seeing something in a whole new light. And this person might be renewing, you know, trying to work harder for you and your little one. But it's difficult. The other thing that I get is that you're really, I'm getting a strong sense of a mission, like going on a mission and fighting really hard for something. But it's slow though. It's very slow going. It's very slow going. The other thing that I kind of get is that I do think that you're seeing this situation in a whole new light. One other way that I can kind of see it is that it's possible that maybe you did have a break with your mother when you were really young, and you had reasons for that. You kind of walked away from them, and now your mother is coming back, recognizing that they had a failed relationship with you and they want to make it better, but they're also in a financial bind. So what you're doing is you're making the effort. You're making the effort. You're seeing you're seeing what went down in a whole new light, right? It's almost like you're looking at the moon. You know, here you're, when you left, you're looking at the moon from the earth, and now in the future you're looking at the earth from the moon. So you're seeing it from the other side. The other thing that I kind of get is that maybe you're starting to understand her side of the story. Or if this is the mother of your child, or, you know, or the father of your child, you're starting to understand where they're coming from. Because sometimes that's hard to see, you know. Again, you know, you're on different sides of the river bend, right? But I am getting a strong sense that maybe you're starting to see their side of the story. One other thing that I kind of get is that it's quite possible that you might have had a falling out with someone, because you willingly walked away from someone, and now, you know, you're kind of, again, this is a lot of change. This is a lot of change. So what you might be doing is you might be giving this person a second chance. You might be trying to cross that river to the Two of Cups, but you might have to fight for it. You might have to work hard for it. Now, your Kipper cards are really quite interesting. You got bereavement, which is loss. Again, you know, it's loss. And then underneath it, you got main person, which is male. It's the man. And you got a long way. So what this could completely be that, again, you know, this could be a, you know, bereavement. You could be grieving the loss of your main person. Again, it can be the father of your child. It doesn't have to be like physical loss. Maybe they left, or maybe the relationship just failed, and it really, you became strong emotionally. Like you learned what you need to survive emotionally, and you're ready to fight for your child. The other thing I kind of get is that you're no longer in this naive state. I do feel like you're the fish, and it's almost like you're going from being emotionally strong to learning how to support yourself, and you're fighting for it. But what it is it's a long journey. It's a long journey. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some time. The other way that I kind of read it is that I do see this as possibly being, if this is a parent and child situation, It's quite possible that you purposely walked away from a parent, and this parent is coming back, and it's a point of change. This person is blocked by financial difficulties, and even though you have you have a broken relationship with them, it's almost like you want to go for that Two of Cups. You want to go for that. You want to speak each other's language again. You want to connect, you know, and be supportive to one another. So in the future, it's quite possible that you might be going to work to support this person. You might also be supporting a sibling, or a little one, right? But you're seeing the situation in a whole new light, and you're fighting for it. But I do get the sense with bereavement, you know, one other thing that I can get is that I do get the sense that this is kind of a hard time. The Five of Cups with the Five of Pentacles is really kind of hard. It's almost like you're going through emotional heartache and financial strife. And that's difficult. But I do think that you have such a spiritual outlook with it. I think you see the higher purpose of this. And the other thing is with the cross talks about a spiritual journey. You see how this person looks like a wizard or a shaman, you know? And I think you're trying not to be bitter. I think you're trying not to be jaded, right? I think you're trying to cross the river to the other side and see the good again. But that is hard. It's hard. It hurts. Even the most emotionally mature people, you know, when you go through loss, or, you know, you go through financial struggle, that makes you. It does. It makes you bitter. It makes you think, why me? Why do I have to go through these trials? The other thing that I get is that it's not going to be a fast resolution. You do have to. I'm seeing the Explorer of Pentacles, and this. It's going to be a long journey, right? But when you get to the end of it, it's gonna be the Hanged Man. The other thing that the hanged one about is like suspension, right? It's about you know, it's about divine discontent. Like you're in an uncomfortable situation, but this situation's going to teach you a lot. The other thing is that it might, you know, pain and loss is a very quick teacher. You know, it's a very quick teacher. But what I am almost getting is that I do get the sense that this might have actually been a real loss, right? It might have been a real loss, and it might have caused, you know, financial struggle as well. But moving forward, this is really great energy because you got the Page of Pentacles and the Explorer of Pentacles. I think you're learning how to support yourself financially, and this is a very powerful lesson. It's just going to be a very slow one, but you do understand it, right? It's going to be a long journey, but it's going to teach you a lot. And I do think that you're emotionally mature enough to understand that. But if it is a parent that's approaching you, you're going to help that parent, and you're going to rebuild you're going to rebuild your relationship with them. It's just going to take some time, and you have to kind of fight for it, right? You have to, you have to persist. I'm thinking of that quote. It's a feminine empowerment quote where it talks about, it says, and she's still in the light, in the face of in the light of in the face of adversity, she persisted, is what I'm hearing. So wow, guys, that's really powerful. Please keep the faith. You have a wonderful, you know, the cross is really, the cross is talks about a burden, but it's one that takes you, that gives you spiritual brownie points. And I know none of us really want to hear that, but it really does. It grows you emotionally and spiritually. All right, so deck number 3, we've got the Linestrider Tarot. How does the Five of Cups manifest in your life? Oh my gosh, we got the Knight of Pentacles again. Okay, middle energy. Oh my goodness. Okay, the Star. The Five of Swords. We have the Sun keeps wanting to come out. Four of Pentacles and the Page of Cups. Oh my gosh, that's the second time the Page of Cups has come out. And the Knight of Pentacles. We're getting Temperance and Two of Cups. Five of Swords tried to pop out earlier too. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and let's get your Kipper cards. I've been kind of pulling three, so let's go ahead and pull three. Okay, we got a flipper. Ah, interesting. Okay, and House is trying to pop out a little bit. Hope, big water. Okay, so in the past we got the Knight of Pentacles, and underneath it we had the Six of Swords, and blocking it was the Ace of Cups. So I get the sense that with the Ace being the blocking energy, I feel like you might have moved away from love. You might have moved away from a new love opportunity because you needed to make money, or you wanted to pursue your career. I'm getting that very strongly. And I feel like, again, you know, the Six of Swords is the Six of Swords. What it has in common with the Knight of Pentacles is the Six of Swords is a very what we call a baseline energy. There's no highs or lows, right? It's just every day, one step at a time. You know, you moving on to calmer waters. And what I kind of get is that I really get the sense that you gave up a love opportunity, because this is the Ace of Cups, and again, all aces are a springboard, right? They could end in your happily ever after, or they can fizzle and not go anywhere. So I think in the past you did kind of you kind of swiped left on a few love opportunities, one in particular that you felt like would have had good potential, but you just I'm hearing the timing wasn't right. The timing wasn't right. You needed to the other thing is that the knight is not a king or a queen. He's just starting out on his journey, and it's a very slow going journey. So what might have happened is, it's quite possible that maybe you just got a promotion at work, or maybe there was a job. I'm kind of getting a sense like maybe there was a job that you needed to take in another state or something like that, and it meant that you had to move away from someone, or not pursue someone romantically, but it was a choice that you made because you needed to do what you had to do, right? And again, the Six of Swords is about like agreeing to things being very bland, right? Things being very on the level, you know, every day in out. The other thing is that every day, day in and day out, is very routine. That's what I'm kind of getting. It's almost like you walked away from someone that you felt a lot of romantic excitement about, but you agreed to the routine because it was going to give you financial, you were going on a mission, you know. I do also see this in a little bit of a military sense. Sometimes if you're deployed and, you know, you start dating someone, but then you're like, well, you know, this has got to stay casual, because remember the Three of Cups is, you know, casual dating. Maybe it was like, I got to stay casual because I'm only in town for the weekend, or I'm only stationed here for 3 months or something, you know. But you purposely walked away from something that felt like a really heartfelt new beginning. And I get the sense that, again, with the owl being kind of the wisdom, and eggs are opportunity, right? Eggs are new beginnings. They're you know, their intent, their intention, right? And I think that you're regretting it now. Like in hindsight, you know, hindsight is 2020. It's almost like in your wisdom now. In one of my romance decks, there's a card that says, if I had known that now what I knew then, I would have made different choices. And that's what I'm hearing. I'm getting a strong sense this was the woulda, coulda, shoulda pile, guys. And you can be a man or a woman in this energy. This could also be your person. You know, if you're a woman watching this could have been how your person feels for you. So again, assign it as it resonates. Maybe you're watching the How to Tarot, or watching how does the Five of Cups, you know, how does, you know, someone who did this to you feel. This person feels disappointed. They feel like they passed on something pretty damn good. and they're not even, the other thing I get is they're not even entertaining other options because they feel like they missed out on, you know, again, I'm getting a strong sense of the one that got away. But underneath this is beautiful energy. You have major arcanas here. The current energy is the star. The other thing is the stork is about movement, right? And this is the one deck that has the stork in the star card. Um, and this is, so this person has hope. The other thing is that it's saying that there's hope in this situation. So again, you know, the person turns around, if the person turns around and sees the two cups standing, to see the two eggs that remain. But and this is a bird and this is eggs as well. But the root of this though is we have the Four of Pentacles and we have the Page of Cups. And the interesting thing about the Page of Cups is they're holding that cup. It's that little the one thing about the Four of Pentacles is it's about holding on, right? The other thing is it's about hanging on to your money. I definitely see it with this card because of all the nice clothes. It's like she's holding everything she owns. So I can kind of read this one of two ways. I can see that there's hope in this situation, but I'm getting a strong sense that this person needs to act now. Either this person needs to kind of approach you and say, yeah, I'm sorry I left. I made the wrong choice. But I'm getting a stubbornness with the Four of Pentacles. Like the other thing is that Five of Cups and Four of Pentacles is about holding on. It's about holding on, right? It's not letting go. The other thing that I get is that it's almost like if you let go, if you stop clinging so badly, if you kind of get into the Page of Cups energy, if you kind of get innocent with it, if you dare yourself to turn and look at the you know, I'm getting a strong sense, and because this is a major arcana and the star is one of the most glorious cards, it's the most pleasant card other than the sun, and the sun was trying to pop out too. I think the universe really wants to bring you something better. The other thing that I kind of get is that maybe, you know, maybe someone, you watch someone go and this person very purposely chose something else and it broke your heart. But the universe is saying, okay, there's more opportunity out there for you than this. If someone made the wrong choice, you know, there's hope for you. But the thing is, you don't want to, the way that you have hope is by turning and being, I'm also getting a strong sense that it wouldn't take much effort. It wouldn't take much effort. All you have to do is put down what you're holding on to, you know, let go of what you're clinging to. And the eyes look very similar here. And if you just kind of, the Page of Cups is a very small indication of love, right? It's a small little sentiment. Maybe there's another opportunity here, and if you just call that person or text them and say, hey, I was thinking about you today, that would be the beginning of it, right? That would be the beginning, you know, that would be the start of something new. But it's the thing is that there's hope in your situation. There's hope in your situation. The other way I kind of read it too is that if someone chose like career or, you know, something else over you, you might be holding on to the hope that this person's going to come back. And they might be giving you kind of like little crumbs, you know, like they might give you what you're doing is, you know, they give you one little emotional, you know, hey honey, I've been thinking about you, and then they don't text you again for 3 weeks. You're hanging on to those little crumbs when the universe is kind of saying there's more out there for you, right? The sky is vast. There's lots of opportunity. But in the future, this is really interesting energy. The other thing that I kind of get is that what I'm kind of seeing here is if you came to this reading asking the question, okay, this person who went away and didn't choose me, is this, you know, you're thinking of them when you're watching the Five of Cups. They definitely they watch you on social media and they know that they gave up the right thing. The other thing I kind of get is that they're being so stubborn. Like they're not, there's hope in this situation if they turn and if they say, look, I made the wrong choice. Can you forgive me? If they stop being so stubborn. The other thing that I kind of get is that I think they're really holding on to money. I think there's a strong factor that money is really important here. And I think what it is that there's hope in this situation for your emotional relationship, but if it means them giving up or letting go of what they were building financially, they're not going to do it. And that's all it would take, though. I'm getting a strong sense. One little, that's the crazy thing. One little, it would take very little to get the ball rolling. All they'd have to do is like reach out to you and say, hey, or the other thing is the Page of a Cups can be an apology. Can be an apology. Now the future energy is a little bit tricky here. We've got the Devil energy, and underneath it we've got the Ten of Cups and the High Priestess, and we've got the Five of Swords. What I'm strongly getting here is we've got the out of the 78 card tarot, you got the 3 cards that talk about holding on. Like I'm not going to sugarcoat it, and I'm not, believe me guys, I've pulled this energy for myself plenty of times. So don't, this is not the universe telling you that these feelings are wrong. Five of Cups, however much time we said in the intro, however much time it takes you to get over someone is how much it takes. And sometimes it's hard to let go. It's hard to let go. And so what I'm kind of getting here is that I think you're not letting go. And it's keeping you codependent. It's keeping you trapped. The past is keeping you trapped from the future, right? And the star is the future. And what it's really telling you, what it's telling you about in the future is that if someone left you because of money, because the other thing is that this is a real young energy. This is the Knight of Pentacles. It's not the King or the Queen. Sometimes that can be someone who puts a lot of material matters over. That could be someone who values money and belongings more than they do emotional relationships. And that's not a real gem of a person, unfortunately. It's not saying anyone's bad for that. I mean, of course, we all want security in our lives, and if it's important to you, then go after it. But what it's kind of showing me here is you might be holding on to someone who's clearly prioritizing material things over their relationship with you. Because the Page of Cups is a little bit of that emotional breadcrumbing, a little bit, not in a bad way. I think they're sincere. It's just, it's like if work calls, if it means spending the night with you and making you the priority, or going out and making that dollar, they're gonna put the dollar over you. And but what I'm kind of seeing here is that in the future you have opportunities in front of you. The star is the most glorious card. It's just, and it's really encouraging you that it wouldn't take much action on your part. All you have to do is let go. And what I'm seeing in the future is that I do see that you're not going to let go right away, because this meant something to you. This was important to you. Again, this is mourning. This is prolonged mourning. But what I see in the future, which looks really, really bright, is that the Five of Swords is about mental conquest, right? And Five of Cups, again, we've got more fives. The Five of Cups is about that, I think in the future, you're really going to go over in your head what happened in this situation. It's almost like you're going to see it really, you're going to do your best to see it clearly. And you're going to say, look, this person defeated me, right? This person got what they wanted. They got what they wanted, and then from that end, it's asking you to take no action. The high priestess leans back, right? She doesn't, she is spiritually balanced in her own way. She doesn't, just like a king or a queen, just like a queen or the star. I think what it's telling you is it's going to ask you to reflect on your own happiness. And what it's saying is that the fives are change, right? Fives are change. And if and four is the cornerstones. Fours are stability, and fives are change. So if this is your person's energy, they regret letting you go, but they're not taking the steps. There's hope. There's presently a lot of hope to make this right, but they're not letting go of the money. They're not letting go of the money. And what they're going to do is, if they continue to not make this right, this isn't punishment. This is nothing like that. It's just a really great reader. She goes by the Chaos Witch. Her name is Jess Puckett. She gave a brilliant a brilliant description of karma. And what it is with karma, and it's not bad. It's just, in our lives we are given certain gifts. We're given um, certain energy that not only serves us in our lives but serves other people. And and your ability to make money is one of them. But what you do, karma is not out to punish you. It's out to teach you. It's just trying to teach you what is valued in life, right? If And not to be morbid, if you Google the top 10 things, the top 5 regrets people have on their deathbed, one of them is not spending any time with your family, or not making meaningful connections with people, or working all the time. The other thing is doing things that other people expected of you, and not what you really wanted to in your heart, right? In your cups. So what I'm seeing here is that if this person continues to put the karma for people, and this is what Jess Puckett said, the karma of people is not punishment, but it's almost like a card in reverse. It's like the amplified negative side effect of you being so persistent over something, and not keeping something in balance. So the short answer is, if you value money over relationships, your karma is going to be that you value money over relationships, and it's going to leave you empty. It will leave you like Scrooge McDuck. It'll give you a full bank account, but it might leave you feeling like this owl. You might look back and say, I had this opportunity to be happy emotionally, but I wouldn't let go. I wouldn't let go. And so the future of that, so the future, this is your person, they regret walking away, but they cannot let go of their material, putting material things first. So their karma moving forward is, I was the victor. Mentally I won, but what did that get me? Right? And the high priestess is higher knowledge. So this person's going to be looking at their past, and it's almost going to be like they're a little tortured by what transpired. It's like, okay, because the devil is also about superficiality, right? Like having the car, having the house, having all the money, but not being happy and feeling trapped by that. The other thing is that I've noticed, when it comes to money, once you make money, you always have to continue to make money. The other thing that I kind of get is that, happiness might be eluding this person a little bit. If they were so stubborn, they have a present opportunity to make things right, and they're refusing to do it because they want to stay on the material path. The future of that is that, yes, they will be the victor. Psychologically they'll be the winner, but it's going to leave them chained to making the money, and it's going to be a cycle. And what this person's going to be doing is, they're going to be pulling within and trying to say, well, where's my happiness? Now, if this is your energy, what it's saying is that this past relationship, if someone chose a career over you, or chose money over you, either that, or quite possibly if they've made you feel like you didn't make enough money, or that you weren't good enough because you weren't wealthy, um, if you turn away from that, if you let go of, and again, this is about, feeling abandoned, right? So if you see the hope in the situation and you turn and see the other opportunities, you don't need to cling to money to be happy. Because the other thing is, the Page of Cups is a real spiritual kind of innocence. If you put all of those belongings down, if you it's almost like, I'm getting a real Buddhist kind of sense here. If if you if I think you can break out of your mourning, break out of your looking at the past and thinking, why didn't they choose me, by saying, how Buddhist monks, they, um in Buddhism, they say that possession and owning things is a source of misery, right? Because you have to maintain things, right? And money, you have to maintain things. But if you spiritually walk away from that and do kind of a Page of Cups, you be like a child, be like an innocent, and think, okay, I know that I'm really attached to owning things. I know I'm attached to security. But if I put that down, I have a chance of turning and seeing those two eggs that remain. So in the future, I read this kind of one of two ways, and it's really quite beautiful. Is that if this person continues to put money above you, and you continue to mourn over the loss of that relationship, then they're going to continue to be the conqueror, and you're going to be trapped in that mindset. But the other way I kind of read it is, if you do let go, if they either let go of material things, or you say, okay, anyone who puts material things over me, or just because I didn't have enough money, or if I didn't seem. The other thing is, if you're a woman watching this, it could be that maybe you felt like, a lot of men will kind of do that. They'll be like, well, I'm not ready to be married. You're you didn't give them enough to lure them away. And I don't mean this in a weird way, but you know how when you really love someone but they chose something else over you, that the hit to your self-esteem, the disappointment of that. If you start saying, okay, because the other thing is, Pentacles is value, it can be self-value. If you start valuing yourself, and you have a great opportunity to do that in the future. I think that you will always battle, because the other thing is, with devils, the devil energy is addictions, but addictions can definitely be negative self-thought, right? And what I'm seeing here is that, the Five of Swords, maybe you have to kind of conquer that negative self-talk, but it's a constant balance, right? The other thing that you get is that, if you move forward, if you stop mourning the loss of this opportunity, or what you think was best for you, you will find happiness, because the Ten of Cups is that happiness money can't buy, right? The other thing that I kind of get is that, if you do go back to this person, you might feel a little bit trapped in that situation, right? Because, and that's one thing that they're kind of cautioning about is, lean back. The High Priestess leans back and she listens to her intuition. What really would make you happy? Would this old thing, this person who didn't willingly choose you, if they came back tomorrow with flowers, would you just take them back? Or would that lead to a real codependent situation, right? The other thing is that I think that it's really calling you to not put this person on a pedestal, because that's the energy that keeps you trapped, right? But I do see this future energy as good. Um, Again, I do think that I think the other thing I get is that I think that you're going to be working through some of this. I think you might be working through some abandonment issues from when you were younger, or several relationships. I'm getting one real prominent one, though. I get one real prominent one, and I get a strong sense that this person made you feel like you had no value, but you have plenty of value. The High Priestess is the it girl. The other thing I get is that this has taught you a lot of spiritual enlightenment. The other thing that I get is that I do think that if you embrace this Page of Cups, um, you can manage this. It might be, just like when you deal. Um, and I'm sorry to compare it to this. I mean no offense when I say it this way, but just like if you have diabetes, you test your blood sugar, you eat foods that are in balance, you monitor your system when you know that you feel like you're hypoglycemic, and you take insulin when you need it. I almost feel like it's the same energy moving forward. I think that you will turn and see the other eggs, but those three that you lost will always kind of haunt you, and it's almost like you have to conquer those mental thoughts. And it's exhausting for you sometimes. But I think you can do it. It's just going to be it's almost like you surrendering. The other thing is that I think you really, really have to get into your head that you have worth. You are valuable, whether you have money, whether you don't have money. But what I'm getting here, though, I also get a sense that maybe past relationships maybe walked away from you because you didn't have enough money, or things were too slow in earning money. Because this is really interesting. I'm seeing a strong money tie here. Your Kipper cards, you got gaining a lot of money. Gaining a lot of money. You know, Knight of Pentacles. And this is what's really interesting here too, guys, is that underneath gaining a lot of money, you got grief and adversity. You got grief and adversity. And then the next one, which is really interesting because we got two knights here. We got two knights in the past and in the future. Here, let me put it in the right order. And then the last Kipper card is you got high honors. I'm going to kind of unsay it, guys. If you're a man watching this, you might have walked away from a person. You might have walked away from someone who was a really good match. And you have a present opportunity to make that right, because you're missing them and you're looking at them like a lost opportunity. Maybe you had to take a job, or you chose career and status, but you're refusing to budge. Again, it's almost like psychologically you have to give up the idea that money is more important. You have to take more of a spiritualist kind of stance. But the future, I see that if you do continue to say, okay, the money is the most important thing, the stature is the most important thing, you might be contemplating a whole lot. You might feel like you're in a cycle. Again, you always have to keep making the money. You have to keep making the money. And what I'm kind of seeing here is that it's giving you high honors, and it's giving you a lot of bank. But you know what I'm also kind of getting is that you might be working long hours. You might feel kind of trapped and obligated. It's almost like, I'm not to sound funny, guys, but I'm hearing I have no life. I have no life. Yes, I work 12-hour days, and then I go home and drink, is what I'm kind of hearing. And I don't mean this to be blunt. This is what I'm seeing. And during the day, it's giving me all sorts of honors, because the other thing is you got two knights here, and you have a knight being knighted by a king. But it's exhausting you. It's exhausting you. And I get the sense with the High Priestess and the Ten of Cups, you're like, why is my happiness eluding me? I thought that if I went for this money that I'd be happy. Either that, or, yeah, I'm getting a sense, I thought if I go for this money, I'd be happy. But I'm getting a real woulda, coulda, shoulda, guys. I mean, and I don't mean that in a bad way. If you're asking about a person, this is their emotions. They regret losing you. They definitely regret losing you. The other thing that I kind of get is, oh my gosh, guys, you know what? The Five of Swords, this person, if you are asking about a person, they regret it so bad. The other thing I get is that I'm seeing this because it's a nest. I'm seeing nest egg. I think this person really wanted a family with you. And I don't mean that in a crazy way. It's just, One other thing that I kind of see is, because there are three people in this boat, it's quite possible that maybe you were the one that got away. You were the one that got away because they had family obligations. But in the future, I definitely see, if this is your energy or if this is the other person, the other thing that I kind of see is in every single one of these cards, somebody has their head tilted down, you know, like head in their hands, like, you know, they don't know how to make it right. They don't know how to make it right. But I don't see any couples in these cards. The only couple that I see is the Devil card. It is the other way that I kind of read this is just one other way to put it out there. It's quite possible that you knew someone in the past that you really thought that you could have a good relationship with. They went off to kind of make they got involved with someone else and kind of broke your heart. And again, you envisioned the whole kit and caboodle. You wanted the family, you wanted the nest, you wanted everything. And it's possible that they went off with someone else. They regret losing you. They really regret losing you, but maybe they had to start earning money for, I'll be honest, guys, I do see that this might be a situation where they might have had a kid or a child with someone else. So they said, okay, that's where my obligation lies. And again, the present energies, they have this opportunity to make it right, but they're refusing to let go of the money. And what's happening is, in the future, they have to kind of conquer their own thoughts. And I think that they will have to stay in a situation that's really codependent, you know. And they kind of see you as their happiness. You know, the other thing I get is that if this is your energy, you're holding on to a heartbreak from this, and you keep questioning what would give me my happiness, right? What would give me my happiness? And it's kind of like a daily battle. It does. It feels like, you know, like you're constantly have to fight it. But these cards really speak of holding on. I mean, it's like holding on to something that gives you a lot of pain. But what I'm seeing here, though, is definitely, I'm seeing somebody who has to, feels like they have to earn a lot of money, and they're earning a lot of honors, like they're going on missions and making this money, but it's not making them real happy, you know. And the Ten of Cups is that money, that's that happiness money can't buy, you know. And it's almost like this person needs to get spiritual. This person needs to stop worrying about what the buck can buy, and start thinking about what does the heart want, you know, or what does the spirit want. Either that, or one way to get out of this energy, you know, to get out of this energy is to say, okay, is it worth it? You know, is it worth it? Is it really giving you that happiness? The other thing with the high priestess is the high priestess, she sees the 3D, like she sees the real world, and she sees what goes on in the 5D, which is the behind the veil. It's the spiritual world. So I think it is also telling you that if you're in a loop, if you just feel like you can't break free, you're trapped by this cycle. You want to look within and say, what makes me happy? What makes me happy? And what makes you happy is whatever the things in your life that give your life meaning. And whether that's emotional connection with someone that you love, with your children, with your family, it could be hobbies, it could be you serving other people. But I am seeing here that there's kind of something that you do, missions that you go on that give you money, give you acclaim, give you honors. But, you know, you look good, you have medals, but it's not really bringing you fulfillment. Or, you know, or the person that's making you feel, you know, they're if this is someone who left you, they're not happy. They may appear happy, and they may have a lot of, you know, acclaim, but they're kind of battling themselves. So wow, guys, oh my gosh, all three. I knew this was going to be deep, but I think we got some really great. We got a variant, and definitely we got a variant of meanings and different stories here. So I hope that this resonates. Again, we always say in card reading, take what resonates, leave the rest. If you feel like a few nuggets really spoke to you, just take the information that pertains to you. And I thank you so much for joining me. I will be posting the deck review for the Lenormand, Kipper, and Gypsy cards. Look for that this week. And then if not, I hope you can join me this Saturday for the weekly energy card reading. I hope that you have a great week, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.